Ever since I saw the programme for the conference, I got very excited when I saw there was a representative of the European Commission coming, and we've been seeking him out. Welcome, Peter, to this event. Can you tell me why you've come to ECER?
To speak about the European Partnership for Researchers, what we are doing to promote mobility of researchers, and to hear what the members of this association think about mobility.
Okay, so your main concern is mobility of researchers, and what is the European Commission doing to promote that?
Well, we are encouraging hospitality, that Europe becomes a more attractive place for researchers. If you are from New Zealand or India or Sweden, you should jump for joy to be a European researcher. So we are working with the member states, but also with the institutions directly to take measures to make it more attractive, and we use our program money for grants. Okay,
so one point is opening up the European research arena to researchers from other parts of the world. Yes. I suppose the second issue is mobility of researchers in Europe?
Exactly. So it's mobility within Europe and mobility with third countries. Within Europe, we want Europe to be what we call a European research area, where it's easy to find your place. So there should be open recruitment. You should be able to take your pension along. Social security schemes should be adjusted. Training should be adapted, so it's easier to move from one place to another or to industry. We sum it up in Brussels with a new term which is called the fifth freedom.
Fifth freedom, and that's a freedom of mobility and employment.
Yeah, it's a freedom of the knowledge worker, of knowledge in general. We have in Europe, since 50 years, we're working on free circulation of goods and capital and services and workers. But now we have to make a new move and let knowledge flow.
But a lot of knowledge is held up, isn't it, at the moment by copyright and by restrictions. Even universities are seeking to guard their knowledge. How can we make that knowledge flow outwards?
Yeah, indeed, there is a tension between keeping the knowledge for yourself and putting patents on it and making money, and the free circulation. So you have to strike a balance between the two. There's much more openness now, things are put on the web, but you also need a protection for the inventor, for the person who has invested in it and worked on that. And we should have a more smooth intellectual property regime in Europe than we have today.
I'm glad you said that, because that's been one restriction. But a second question, if I can ask you, there's a feeling amongst quite a lot of educational researchers, I think, that within the framework research programs, which of course are very important for European collaboration in research, that education over the last few years has not been so much to the front.
I believe there is lots of space for educational research. There's a specific program on social sciences and humanities. There are lots of networks. I'm not familiar with the take-up, but I think there's space, and there is also always room for improvement. If you think it should be more, you should lobby. You should make your point now for the current program up to 2013, and after that.
So that's a very positive message to us, that as European researchers we should have a discourse perhaps and put forward our ideas.
Absolutely, and there was a conference under the Swedish presidency. EU is now in the Swedish presidency, and it was about the knowledge triangle. And one of the conclusions that was adapted is that it's not only technology. That if you want to be successful in Europe, it's also the social sciences and humanities. That was a strong point in this conference, end of August, I believe. So this gives you ammunition to lobby and to get your share of the cake, which is, I think, a common interest.
Okay, and one last question, if I can just detain you for a moment more. What are you taking away from the conference? What have you heard which you're thinking about from this conference?
I was in one session until now, and it was fascinating about theories of hospitality. There was a research from Australia, from Monash University, and she did a study on the different aspects of hospitality. What does it mean for the host? What does it mean for the guests? can you be so hospitable that you make things bad for your locals? It was very interesting, which you could also apply to other mobility, like migration in general. So I would summarize it that this kind of conferences gives me and us in Brussels a kind of an intellectual base. It underpins policy making, and it makes it less arbitrary.
So research-based policy.
Voila.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Pleasure.